We're set. Oops. Hello. It's Scarlett here, Scarlett Image, as I'm reaching over for something. And welcome to my Friday Live. And today I'm excited because I have a special guest. And her name is Marie-Claire Hermans or Hermans?
Hermans is fine.
Because I kind of think the French part maybe shouldn't have the H. But the reason why I asked Marie-Claire to be here is because she is an expert for energy and healthy living, healthy eating, and she focuses a lot on helping speakers feel their best so they can speak their best. And I do the same in terms of wardrobe. I help speakers look their best so they can focus on their message and not whether or not their shoes hurt or is something too tight or is a button going to pop. So, Marie-Claire, I told Marie-Claire about, I don't know, I guess it was 3 weeks ago or almost three weeks ago, I had my gallbladder removed. My doctor said it had to come out, and I was an obedient young lady and said, okay, and I booked it, and within 3 weeks, my gallbladder was gone. And I thought it was going to be an easy peasy kind of thing, and you know what? It's not easy losing an organ. It really messes you up. And so I mentioned it to Marie-Claire, and she said, why didn't you tell me? I could have helped you. And I really regret that I didn't try a natural alternative to having my stomach cut open and having something removed because I don't quite feel right. So I said, okay, Marie-Claire, you're gonna have to speak to my people. So that's why she's here. So, Marie-Claire, please introduce yourself to my audience here.
Yes, happy to. And so I'm so grateful for being here. Thank you. Yes, I'm a holistic consultant for speakers and business women. And what I do really is I help you get high energy, and why it's so important right now that everything is taken online. The live events have been canceled. Your live stage is not there anymore and is not going to be there for a long time. So you have to face the camera now and feel confident to show up. And my point is, how you feel is how you show up, and how you show up is how you close sales, right? So it's all connected. And what I do is really give you twice as much energy or even more, because you know what? Your online audience, you can't feel the energy of your online audience. That's the thing. And so you need to double up that level of energy to connect with them without seeing them, without seeing their faces glow up when you say something, without seeing if they're still interested in you, and then capturing that attention and bringing it throughout your whole presentation, so that at the end of your presentation, where your call to action is and when you have to draw your potential clients in to work with you, that you can really close the sale. And so that's what I help those speakers and business women with.
So what do you find, when I look at a speaker, obviously if it's an engaging story, I'm in. And if he or she is wearing clothes that don't distract me, but make me actually look, wow, this person, is accomplished, this person knows what they're doing, I'm good on that. I've never really paid attention to the energy part, but I think the lack of energy is why sometimes I find a speaker not interesting. Maybe it isn't even their message, but the fact that they're like, eh.
Yeah, and you're so right. And when we're on these Zoom conferences, networking events on Zoom, right? Oftentimes what I observe is how many of these people are looking fatigued. They're sitting or they're hanging, or they're lying on their bed on a Zoom call. That doesn't bring the energy across a screen. And people don't trust you when you show up in a fatigued way, or when your voice doesn't have intonation, right? Because you're passionate about your stuff and you know your stuff. But when the energy is not there, it's hard. Well, you can start in a pretty well way, but then like 10 minutes or 20 minutes into your talk, if it's a 60-minute talk, let's say, you already start being in deficit of that energy. And then, you know, of course, for you, the most important part still has to come, and you lose your audience, you lose the attention, you lose the trust actually as well, and you leave a lot of money on the table. So yeah, it can get dull when someone shows up. Hi, I'm Marie-Claire, and I'm here to give you energy. Well, that wouldn't work, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I find a lot of times when a person is, you know, let's say someone's a health coach, for instance, you know, it's even more important that they look healthy and that their energy is high. Because if you're trying to express to somebody how it's important, how important it is what you offer is, you have to show that you have the good results of what you offer. You know, I've seen people who've done presentations on I think it was like you know, how to be healthy, how to have your body work right, and you know that. Well, this woman was overweight, and she ended up having a heart attack actually. And after the heart attack, then she started actually following the tips that she claimed she was giving. But you have to practice what you preach, basically.
You have to walk your talk. Another thing I'd always say, because it's an observation I make, and that was before COVID, is that a lot of business women, they invest in nice clothes, you know, and hell, I love investing in clothes too. I love being dressed well, and expensive shoes. And then I would always say, well, what's the use of buying a new pair of shoes when you don't have the energy to walk your talk, you know?
Right.
And so that is what it's all about. And especially now, when you are speaking, when you're talking to your audience, you are a leader. You're making a stand. You're taking a stand. I mean, you're doing things differently than most people are. You're showing up, right? And that is why this is so important, because those people don't have that kind of energy. They're looking for energy. They want to feed off you. And it's has become more and more in this new era about bringing that leadership through being an example and being a healthy example, because that is what inspires people. When I go through all these interviews, and when I look at other people's interviews and live videos, when I go through the comments, because that is how I search for what are people interested in, what are their thoughts, what are their ideas, what do they need, what do they want. What I will always read there when it's a good interview, when the host is really inspiring, it will always be that one thing: I love your energy. I love your energy. Oh, I wish I would have your energy. So that was my observation, and that is why I am really focused on speakers, business women who use speaking as a marketing tool, because they are taking a stand and they are leading all these communities who are looking for hope. People stopped dreaming during COVID, right? And we are still kind of the dreamers, and we make dreams come true. And that is what people want to hear more. And
you and I never stop dreaming, and it's really important not to stop, because the people who sort of said, what am I doing? I'm not going anywhere. I'll work on my business when this is all over. They're not particularly in the greatest moods, I have to say. They're not feeling so good. Yeah. So let me ask you, because I told my audience, we talk about, you know, you would talk about how to what are some ways to add energy to a person? Like, what do we do with our life to add some energy, or what is it that we shouldn't do that's draining our energy?
Well, there are a lot of elements that are draining right now. And because this time is so emotional and there is already so much emotion involved in food, but now it only got worse. I see a lot of business women, they're busy. I see a lot of business women who are working harder than ever, right? Because it takes much more now to keep your business growing and even equal, right? So they don't have much time. They don't have time to cook healthy meals. So what happens is there's much more takeout in the house. There's much more, okay, I'll let Uber deliver a meal because I ran out of time. I have to go there or to online platforms now. And so, of course, that food is something we don't have any control over when we have it delivered. We don't know what's in it. We don't know how many chemicals are involved, how much junk is in there. And that is a first very big draining factor. Now, and of course, reaching for just anything that's in the cupboards right now, that's another side effect of not having enough time, you know, to make a healthy lunch.
I've never done that.
You haven't done that?
Oh my God.
It's hard. I know. I was enticed too. It's like, you know what? I have to deal better with this because I want to, like, I don't want to gain all that weight that I'm hearing. Like 15 pounds is no exception during COVID, and so it does take away from the confidence, of course, to be on camera, as the camera already adds on some pounds. And so you don't want to add more, right? And it's also because of your good feeling, just the self-image that you have, and your health, of course, because it compromises your health.
And I noticed that as a woman gains weight, and I've certainly gained weight throughout my life, off and on, more on, as a woman, as we gain weight, it can sometimes then make it even. It makes it easier to have the excuse of why bother.
Yeah, totally.
And why bother? Yeah. And I think I actually posted about why bother in terms of clothes yesterday. I think why bother is a really dangerous mindset because, you know, you're only hurting yourself, right? I mean.
Yeah, and I see that mindset when people start eating healthy too, you know, they want everything to be perfect. I don't know if you experienced that, but when you went on a diet at some point in your life, everything has to be perfect, right? And it only lasts for that short amount of time that you set a goal. And then once you got to that goal, you started rewarding yourself with a pie or a pizza or whatever you had to miss during that time. So that's very relatable and very, very normal. But that mindset is so true. I see a lot of people and clients too, when they start working and they want everything perfect. And then they make a little mistake in their day and they say, you know, I already made that mistake. So the day is like, so I'll just go all over, and they're grabbing for anything again and stuffing themselves. So it's all about that mindset, and mindset is really something that it's most part the biggest chunk of my work really during that whole process, because we want to establish a body that we love for the rest of our lives, not just on Mondays, Tuesdays, and we take off in the weekend, right? So yeah.
But there are, you know, you don't have to be skinny to be healthy or happy. You can, I mean, you can be, you know, you can wear a size 10 or a 12, whatever, and still be healthy and happy. Too many women assume that, like some people with plastic surgery, assume that if they just change the body, everything will be, like you said, perfect. And that's not how it works. And you don't have to be a stick figure to feel good. I mean, I don't think so, but I mean, you know.
Not at all. Of course, weight just by itself is a problem, right? And let me explain you why. Because when there are excess pounds, those are fat cells, right? And fat is actually a way of the body to protect itself against toxins. And so fat is actually capsuling toxins that we assemble or gather in the body, so that the body doesn't have all the side effects of the toxins. And so when you add on more excess weight, you can be sure that you have a higher level of toxicity. So I just want to say that because most people don't think about that. It's like it only comes through eating too much or eating bad, but it's also a way to protect ourselves against toxicity. So when you detox, the fat cells will break down, and that's when toxins are being released in the body. And that's when you have to remove the toxins. And when you do that, that is actually a way to not add on weight, right? So that's a whole different perspective on losing weight, I think, if that helps. But when you would like just eat more pure foods that are not loaded with chemicals, industrial made additives, colors that are added, taste makers, those are all the things that our body cannot recognize. It doesn't know what to do with that. It can't break it down. And so what you can't break down or digest, you will store. It will store on your belly, on your hips, whatever your weak point is. It's different for everyone, but it's all about digestion. So that is another thing that maybe is interesting for your listeners to hear, that when you know that when you can't digest, you will store it, that all you have to do is optimize your digestion, right? So that's another perspective that you can use to take another route and step away from dieting, which doesn't work for the long run, right?
Well, dieting is basically you depriving yourself of things that you love, which is why it's really hard. And so I know your approach is more like to nourish yourself versus to deprive yourself. I mean, am I saying that kind of right? Or
yeah,
like,
sure.
So like 'cause I had written that you help people lose weight without dieting. So how do you do that?
Well, these are the ways, we optimize the digestive system so that your body will balance itself to its natural condition. It's like if you would live in nature, what is our like normal house to live? It's in nature, in the wild. We're living in houses now, but when you would live in nature, you would never be overweight. Look at the animals. There is no animal in the wild that is overweight. They have the right constitution. So that is what the body does when you nourish it with foods, with whole foods that it can recognize, with foods that are not altered in their molecular structure, so that the body knows, oh, okay, this is an apple. I know how to break down an apple because that's my natural way of feeding myself. So I get rid of the apple, I don't gain weight. Now, you won't gain weight from an apple, of course, but you get the system there. And so that is a very interesting way of balancing the body. If the body is underweight, it will come to that natural balance. And when it's overweight, it will also level out. So that is a very easy principle, really. The other thing that I can share with you, and I'm gonna make this a visual, you won't have to diet that way, is I have a plate here. I don't know if that's clear. I have to be here. So I'm just gonna draw on this. So let's say, all right, this is your plate. I have to mind the light. Two sides. So normally when the standard American diet, let's talk about that. That's usually not very colorful. It is a steak. It is, what is it? Potato.
Yeah.
Potato.
Yeah.
Steak. There's not much color. I mean, there are no greens on that half. There's no no rainbow colors or anything.
Yeah.
Versus, so if you would normally you would eat a whole plate like that. So if you divide that plate and half of it would be greens, I will try. So these are the lettuce leaves, and I don't know. Oh, if it's
a green marker, you need a green marker.
yeah. Anyway, so some tomatoes, some kimchi and some orange kimchi. So I mean, that is a colorful plate. I don't know if the colors are coming through, but that is the way how you can start losing weight without dieting. It is replacing your current diet, your standard American diet, by half of greens, leafy green vegetables, and preferably uncooked, so raw. And why raw? Because when you eat your vegetables raw, you will have all the vitamins, minerals, the amino acids, the proteins. Yes, vegetables have protein, and the live enzymes intact, 100%. And that is why you can digest. That is why the alive enzymes, there are certain alive enzymes that are responsible for breaking down fat in your food and remove it. They break down toxins and remove it. So they break down all these foods and remove the waste of it, so it doesn't stick on your belly or your eyes. And when you do this system, half of these vegetables, raw vegetables, will help you digest the undigestible, the dead food, right? That is cooked.
You're saying Americans have big plates, a lot of food on the plate. So you're saying like take half of what you would ordinarily eat and just substitute like a lot of greens, raw.
Yes.
I prefer my vegetables raw because my mother, who was from Europe, born and raised in Germany, she would cook vegetables till you could build a brick wall with them. They would. So I rebelled, and it will only eat them raw now because it was so horrible how she overcooked them. I hated it. So that's actually a really good tip, guys, because if we could just take a little bit away. If not, you can't do half, a little bit at a time, and just fill it with the lettuce. Because I know personally, me right now, I have to eat a lot more salad than I have before because my body is adjusting to this whole thing without the gallbladder. And it doesn't feel good if I don't have more greens. I've noticed that. So that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think so. And even if half the plate is too much for you right now to get started, you can do a little, 2/3, 1/3, and then take it further and further. And you can even have a whole raw plate. And the more raw plant-based foods you eat, the more energy you will get. And it's amazing, but it happens in week 1 when you do that. You can double your amount of energy in 2-3 weeks. It's amazing. And then, of course, you want to build the consistency, which is much harder. Always the consistency of eating healthy every day. And that, of course, is mindset. It's knowing, why is this so important for me? When you're a speaker, you have to expose yourself the whole time to the whole world. I mean, our world, it narrowed down in a way, but it's also like gone all over the place now, so we're visible everywhere. And when you are exposed that way, this will help you for sure to get that energy in a fast way, really.
And I have to say, people say, well, I'm not a speaker, but I think almost everybody's a speaker now, because when you're now on all these remote meetings and these Zoom meetings and Zoom networking and conferences and cocktail party. I was at a holiday party yesterday on Zoom. You do all these things. When you speak now, when you're talking now, there's much more focus on you. Like, so if you're back in the olden days, as I call it, before COVID, when you were at a cocktail party and you spoke to somebody, that person and maybe somebody else in that little huddle was listening to you. But now when you speak, there's 20 other people on the Zoom screen in the gallery, as they call it, who are watching you. So you technically are a speaker now because your audience is much, much bigger now. And I don't want to scare people, but it's
yes, you do.
we're all speaking now because we're not anymore just at a cocktail party or a business event and just talking to one person about somebody in the office. Now everything we say, everybody hears it, you know? So it's totally different. So I like what you're saying about having the energy and about the food and I know it's hard for people to add more vegetables and salads without the Caesar dressing, by the way. I'm sure you don't.
Oh, yeah. You know, and it's so funny, but here in America, so I moved 2 years ago from Belgium to New York. I filled up 2 suitcases and I moved to New York, and I was 60 at that moment. So without energy, without my health, I would have never been able to do that.
And you, by the way, look much younger than 60.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm 62 now. Like, wow, it's going fast once you're at that age. Yeah. But you know what? It's a very nice age. But you need your health together. So what was I going to, where was I going with that? Oh, yeah, the Americans. So I was so, and I'm in New York, of course, it was a whole new world opening up. I was so excited about all the possibilities and opportunities here. And so I went to a salad bar while I was in the city. And I said, well, I would like a salad. Well, this is a salad, they said. No, it's not a salad. Yeah, it's chicken salad. I said, well, that's not a salad. It was all chicken. I was like, and I don't eat anything that flies, crawls, or lives. Right. So what about this salad? And she pointed, what is that? Pork salad. I said, that's not a salad.
My son has a hard time with this because we try to have him have a regular green salad every day, but sometimes he'll have like a bean salad. He goes, but I had a salad, and it's very hard to explain because he has special needs. That's not a salad. So you're right. I don't know why we call these things salads because they're not. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Tuna salad. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It's a different mentality and a different perception. And I was like, oh, I have to adjust my perception here of what a salad means here in the States. And the other thing, when I was at a salad bar, where I thought, okay, let me try this then, because I see they have greens sitting around and you can just pick and choose whatever goes on your bowl. And they will always ask, do you want protein? I said, I have my protein because I already had kale salad in there and all kind of greens. Right. I have my protein. I just didn't understand what they meant. Do you need protein? You know, I didn't know that it was meat or fish or chicken, usually here in the States. So
what else besides kale has protein from the green perspective?
All leafy green vegetables have proteins, and nuts have proteins, seeds have proteins. There's protein in everything. Even more importantly is that those plant-based proteins, they are so easy to break down. Because animal proteins don't have that trait. They're very hard to break down, and that is why we are also getting compromised with the kidneys, right? Look at how many people are on kidney dialysis. How do you pronounce that? Dialysis. Yeah, the accent is different. So, and that is partly because of all the animal proteins we have to break down. The kidneys can't take that, and so they just start failing on you. So plant-based proteins are so easy to break down. The other thing is all plants and all nuts and seeds, they are packed with amino acids, and amino acids are the building stones of those proteins. So when you eat an animal protein, first thing your body has to do is break it down into amino acids, because it cannot process the protein by itself. And then it has to rebuild all these amino acid stones to form a protein that the body is able to process. With plants, you have the amino acids sitting around, you take them in, and then the body can just build the protein. And so that is another thing where you gain a lot of energy from. So you gain when you eat plant-based and mainly raw, and I know raw is not for everyone 100%, right? You can just take a percentage. That's what I ask my clients always when we start working. So how far do you want to take this? Are you willing to do? What are you willing to commit to? And some will say 50%. Most of my clients will say, let's do 70%. And so the effects are amazing and very quickly. And often, mostly, they will say after a few weeks, I am feeling so amazing. I want to go all the way. I would just want to go 100%. So that is actually when the body is able to heal itself, when it gets the right fuel. This is all about how the more you eat alive foods, the more you get energy from that, because you're eating the life force of that food. You're eating the life force of a seed that has to turn into a tree, a plant, a bush. Yeah. So that is what makes you feel alive. And when you cook all your foods, all these alive enzymes are dead. So you cannot use those enzymes to break down the fat. That's why we keep gaining weight over time.
Well, when you said that there are no wild animals overweight, we watch animal shows all the time. You get sucked into those stories every time.
Beautiful.
I've never seen a polar bear go, oh.
No, or a giraffe with a neck like this. They're not there. I mean, come on. So the only animals that are overweight are our cats and dogs.
Because we feed them too much.
We feed them. And that's how we feed ourselves. And actually, this is really funny. I have been deadly ill for 5 years, and no single doctor ever asked me, what do you eat? But when I took my cat or the dog to the vet, that was their first question. What do you feed that dog?
You're right. You're right. Never had a doctor ask me what I eat.
Why can't my doctor ask me that question? They're only interested in what you feed the cat or the dog. So it's a good
but horrible observation. Ay. You're right. Yeah. My vet said, well, send me the name of the dog food that you're giving him. And I'm like, but my doctor doesn't have to accompany my body. Good. That's good. Do you provide recipes to your clients?
So sorry, I didn't hear that.
Do you provide recipes to your clients so they don't so that they don't think that it's just like a mound of kale?
No, I don't. Listen, I stopped cooking my food 11 years ago. Do you think I could go on only salads? Oh, just like, hell no. I get bored very quickly. So, and I was such a food lover. Italian food, pasta was my big thing. Bread, addicted. Cheese, addicted. Sugar, addicted. I mean, come on. We're addicts of our food, and it's the hardest thing to leave out, because you can't take it out and then say, okay, I'm going cold turkey on all my food. So you're always being triggered by your food to fall back into bad habits, of course. Yes, I do provide these lovely recipes. I learned how to make the types of food, so my memory would go along with the food I was eating.
Yeah.
So I experimented with how can I break down that food so it looks like cooked. I can trick my memory, right? So it's easy to eat it. How can I soften those salads? How can I bring more flavor into anything? How can I make it look beautiful, like as if a chef was plating that plate for me? I found that very, very important because I knew I get bored very quickly with my food. It has to look good, it has to taste good. And so that is what I experimented with and became an expert at. Really, I have my signature style, you know, people will recognize this when I post pictures on Facebook. Those are the kind of recipes that I teach my clients. Actually, this afternoon I have another VIP day coming where my client and I sent her a shopping list and we dive together in our own kitchens, and then it's full on teaching how to make those recipes and setting up a plan for the future. And then they get the recipes. Yeah, it's a lot of hands-on cuisine sessions, but also mindset work. And also another big factor is the social factor, right? Food is a language, and as long as you speak the same language with the people around the table through the things they have on their plate, all is good. Have you noticed that? Yep. When one person there's changing her plate and she's going on a diet, that all eyes are on that plate. What are you eating? Why are you eating that?
People are going, I can't believe she brought her own. You know?
And in a way, you become a threat to them because I've had that remark, oh, you think you're better than us now because you're eating healthy? Excuse me.
Well, you know, you're reminding the other people that what they don't want to be reminded of, because we know that we're eating crap. We know that.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And so that can throw you off of your intentions, you know, the strong they are. I mean, when your social environment is not supportive of your decision to eat healthy every day, it's hard to stick to that intention. So it's really part of my work is how do we include the whole family or the husband or the wife so that you're becoming a team and your partner's in crime, right? And you can do that by seducing them. And that's how I teach my clients to seduce their families with lovely recipes. And I always say, don't tell them it's raw because they can't tell. It looks that good and it tastes even better than what they're eating so far. So they can't tell. So, and then they get their partner or children eating what they prepare and like, wow, that is so good. What was it? And then you can start sharing, oh, well, you know, this was actually healthy. What?
I have a question. Back, you know, when we, you know, go out for dinner with people and stuff like that, do you do that when, you know, pre-COVID and would you go out to dinner with people and then order something that worked for you?
Yes. And that too is another thing, you know, and especially because I've always worked with high performers, Grammy-winning musicians, you know, it's like really high performers and successful business people. They go on restaurants for business meetings and all of that. So I had to teach them how they could bring that consistency even to the business meetings, the business lunches and all of that. So a trick, and it's really simple, is that you just go through the menu, and you know what? Before a chef cooks, he starts from a raw ingredient, right? Mm-hmm. So you can just note on a little, make a note. It's like, oh, these are all raw ingredients, and then you can tell the waiter, can you ask the chef, please, if he or she can make a lovely salad with those ingredients? And that's it. And I have always had wonderful, beautiful salads, like wow, and tasty. And every time the waiter comes with that salad to the table, everyone else will, oh, I wish I would have ordered that too. You know, it looks so great. So it's just a matter of how do you bring that? Don't think from a place of lack. Think and live from a place of abundance, because those plant foods offer so much abundance. They offer us energy, health, a clear skin, right? This is important too on camera. How is your skin looking? Is it breaking out in acne? How many wrinkles are being formed now that we're inside?
Very dry skin.
Yeah, now it's very dry by being inside, and now winter starts. The air conditioning, I want to say, the heat is on again, so it's very drying for the skin.
Yeah.
And when you eat plant foods, all the water is still in there, and that is what moisturizes your skin from the inside out, causing you to like even out wrinkles, right? You're reversing your aging process.
Yeah.
You don't have to look older because you're getting older.
Right.
So all these things are wonderful, wonderful benefits from eating raw and plant-based.
Yeah, no, I'm very intrigued. When I work with a client, I pick out fabrics and prints that actually will make the skin look healthier and better, less wrinkled, less dry. But it's much better if you just simply eat the food that'll help your skin look better, than having the fabric sort of cheat for you, because
yeah, of course. And I mean, it's also about that feeling that you get. I mean, it's still as much as I love clothing, I worked in fashion for 20 years, so I get you. But your clothes just look better when you feel better, right? Go to the shop, and no, everyone can relate to this. When you go to the shop and you're having a down day and you think, oh, let me just shop for some clothes to make me feel better. Doesn't work well, huh? You don't look good in the mirror. You look more tired. It's like, you know what? Nothing fits me today, right? And it's because of the feeling that you have. So the better you feel, the better your clothes will fit, of course, and will look on you.
Right, and and it's all a big circle. I don't know if I read this by you or somebody else, but I love this, that when you change something about your life, so let's say it's like, what you eat, don't say I can't have, say I don't have. And I really like that. So you're talking not from a perspective of being deprived, of lack of something, or being losing something, but you're talking about I have a choice. I don't have. I just thought that was really cool.
I always replace that word I can't have by I choose not to. And that is a choice. I can't have it is deprivation. I choose not to have it is abundance. And that makes all the difference here, because that is also something when you're craving for something, right? When you're craving a sweet junk snack. I heard Oreo cookies is something wild here in the States. So, and they're very addictive, I hear. So when you're about to take that package with the Oreos, you can say, oh, I choose not to have that. And that immediately puts you in a whole different place. Because you say, I don't feel like that anymore. It's a whole different feeling. And so it's easier to grab for a healthy alternative then. And that's actually what I do with my clients as well. We tweak all these comfort foods that they have. I will always send them a questionnaire before we start working, so I know what are their favorite foods, what are the foods that they feel they can't miss, right? And then I will always make a healthy version of that comfort food and teach them how to do that. So it's ready in the cupboard, and when they have no time or when they are feeling emotional and they want to stuff themselves, they can just pick that healthy alternative and stuff themselves with that.
That's a great idea, because I'm the person that waits until the last minute, and then I'm just like, anything to make me not hungry. But the preparation in advance is really important.
It's all about that. Yeah, I love bringing business system to our health, because when in your business there are so many systems set up, and we set them up to bring them on automatic pilot so that we don't have to be in that system the whole time. And it's the same way for us business women when we're so busy, to have all the systems in place in the kitchen. I mean, that's the heart of your health. That's where it happens, really, in the first place.
Yeah.
And so when you have those systems set up and set on automatic pilot, that's when you know, okay, I will be fine. I have one day I prep, and then, you know, I'm set for the rest of the week, or even for weeks in certain cases. And that is when you know you can be busy and you can nourish yourself while being busy. That is major. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. I put in the chat or wherever the comments how you can get Marie-Claire's or Marie-Claire's
That's perfect.
her tips on you know, helping you have more energy for not just when you're speaking, but for your life, because you know, we need it. And there's so much bad stuff happening now. So anything that we can do to make ourselves feel better, I think is really, 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 really important. I'm busier than I ever was before, believe it or not, because the women who are working with me understand that how they feel affects their business, and they want to make sure that they come across as the, you know, the person to be seen. Marie-Claire works on how they feel, you know, inside. I can create a great outfit for somebody. It can make them feel good, but I can't help them digest their food better.
Well, you help them look really like a million on the outside, you know.
Look like a million on the outside, but you help them feel like a million on the inside.
Yes, that's what I do. I style from the inside out and you from the outside in. So it's a perfect combination, right?
That's true. It really is. So this was great. So I didn't see, I see people here, but I don't see any questions. If anybody has a question, type it in, and if not, Marie-Claire and I will look later on and answer anything. But you know, do get her tips, because they will get you started. I actually am going to start using some of the tips myself. So I want to do that. Any final thoughts?
Well, it all starts with energy. Your health starts with having energy, because you can't heal without energy. That was my personal experience. Your relationships need energy to sustain them, to be the best of you, to be the person that you love being in relationship. Your business starts with your energy. Without you, there's nothing. There's no life, there's no business, there's no relationship. So it all starts with you. And that energy is the crucial number one ingredient in your life that makes everything possible. Look at me. I moved from Belgium to New York when I was 60 with 2 suitcases to start from scratch, right? You cannot do that when you are thinking, oh, I'm 60 now, my life is going to slow down from here on. No, you can still gear up and make dreams come true. And I think that is like my final thought for you. Get started on that, getting more energy, because if you're at a 2 or a 3 or a 5 right now, just think what you could do, what became possible if you had an 8, a 9, a 10, or an 11.
That's right.
Right?
It is possible. It is possible. I have, so yes. So Daryl was saying how spouses can really, they can hurt the progress that you're trying to make with, you know, what to eat and all that. So like, he's asking any tips on how to deal with a spouse that probably says, oh, go ahead, have another piece of chicken, or have some chicken, or have some steak, or, you know, you need to eat. I mean, so what's the tip for a spouse that is sabotaging is the word. Yeah.
Yes. It's hard, I know, and I had many clients who had a spouse like that, and sometimes it got like the spouse got like jealous because the client was getting such great results. They were losing so much weight and they were looking fantastic, and they had all this energy, and they were doing all new things, starting in a second business or whatever it was. And so to get those, it's really important to get them on your side in a way. But the best way to do that is keep holding on to what you do. You know, it's your life. It's
Right.
not your spouse's life. It's your life. It's your body.
Right.
And when at a certain point, those spouses will turn around because they will all of a sudden see, oh, wow, she's looking good.
And if they don't,
And I'm getting laid more in some, yeah, right?
and if not, that also tells you something.
Yeah. So, but they mostly they turn around their view on that because they see the effects in their partner, and then they will say, I'll try some of that, and then it's part of your thing and know how to seduce them. And how I usually do that is always with pie. We make the most wonderful, tasty, beautiful raw pies or raw chocolates. And that's how we lure them inside the lifestyle. It's like, wow, does that taste that good? Oh, yeah, it does. And so that's how bit by bit you can incorporate more of these foods. And it's never force a spouse or a child into your lifestyle, but make the foods together with whatever they're eating and spread it over the table, and they can pick whatever they want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's no different. It's really about doing that, and ask for their support. Tell them, this is really important for me. It's really important for me to have my health because I want to grow old with you. I want to have a longer lifetime with you in good health. And that is usually something that they are very open to. And when they will say in a conversation like that, you know what, you're right, let's do this together.
Yeah, that's really good. That's great. That's really good. And
Yeah.
on that note,
Yeah, it's about communication, of course. Yeah.
No, that's really good. Who doesn't, progress is always admired. There might be a little resentment in the beginning, but it always ends up being admired. So
Yeah.
well, thank you so much, Marie-Claire. I really appreciate
You're welcome.
it. Thank you. All right. I'm going to end with my little words of wisdom that life isn't perfect, but your outfit can be.
That is so true, especially when you work with Scarlett.
So keep that in mind. And again, look in the chat for her tips. They're really good. And then another way for us to start the new year in a much better way than where we're ending it. So thank you, everybody. Bye. Thank you.